Hey everyone, this is WobblyWallaby. Today I'll be trying out Thor in Legend instances to see if it's worth playing. Unfortunately, you can't buy Thor using just a job change voucher, so it is a limited time hero and in the beta server we can only buy it with BCC. Since this costs real money, I'm gonna provide an honest review to see if his skills are really strong enough. Stay tuned for all the details. You can see here that Thor is a limited time hero class, and you can see on this banner that there's 24 days for me to buy it. When I'm at Thor's hero class change page, you can see that the job change voucher cannot be used. You need to use the special Thor voucher. For beta testers, we had to buy the bundle for 534 BCC. But if I click just on the voucher, it has a cost of 98 BCC, so I hope that is the real cost since this is fairly reasonable. Before I talk about the strengths and weaknesses, I made a video on the complete skills, runes, and weapon, so be sure to check out that video for all the details. First, one of the biggest worries I had was this hero being stuck to wind damage. Since there are really high wind damage reductions in these instances, I thought this would be a real problem. For example, the damaging skills I use most frequently are Many Thunder for continuous DPS, then Storm Judgment for some burst damage. You can see these are all locked to wind. But luckily, the multipliers are quite high, so that made it okay. There are also other factors that help boost the damage. The core hero skill having your hammer deal damage of 3500% is great. Also, Thunder Power giving you 50% wind attribute attack for 60 seconds if you charge for 5 seconds helps a lot. Finally, Unstable Current giving you a big fluctuation can lead to some crazy damage. Putting all these damage factors together, thankfully Thor's strength is high DPS despite being stuck to wind damage only. However, his biggest weakness is his lack of survivability. He's extremely squishy, so you'll need to run away a lot. I wish he had better survivability like Rathkrasi's HP Relic-like protection, or Novice Guardian's auto revive rune. Lifesteal would be great too. I find his HP recovery and shield isn't good enough, and I was dying a ton. I hope that the devs will buff this since this limits the class's ability to solo instances when compared with Saitama or Rathkrasi. Now if you need BCC to buy hero classes, then try Smile.1. Smile.1 allows you to get discounted BCC and premiums for Ragnarok Mobile. They have been around for more than 8 years and have lots of global business partners for other games too. There are plenty of payment methods for lots of flexibility. I'll put a link in the description. Thanks to Smile.1 for sponsoring this video. Next, his weapon is also great since it gives a lot more Storm Judgment damage per refine level and ignore physical defense per refine level. 3% is actually really insane because it helps you achieve 200% ignore defense a lot easier. Next, I was asked what other weapons he could use. The only other synth weapon he can use is Destroyer's War Axe, but I think his own weapon is definitely worth using. Next, for Acer Monument, some notable buffs are the 15% ignore defense, 16% physical damage increase, 15% physical attack, 10% move speed increase, 20% wind damage reduction, and 30% wind damage increase. That certainly makes his Acer Monument very powerful. I especially like his ease of getting ignore defense and the 30% wind damage increase to offset the high wind damage reduction in these instances. Next, for Advanced Runes, you can easily add a ton of yellow and red minor runes for high damage. In these damage tests, I purposely don't use Arcane Runes since that's a bit unfair and a lot of people will not have access to this for a very long time. I feel like that would skew the results. For the runes that have insane variants, I wasn't able to get the Eternal Soul Star rune that high. 100% here would be insane, but I also don't use over a billion lightning that often. Next, I was lucky enough to get a good Aftershock of Stormstar rune. 46% was really nice and it helped with the nuking ability. Next, for my manual and auto bars, this is my layout. For manual, I use Thunder Power to boost my wind attack. I have to channel it for 5 seconds before each battle and it lasts for 60 seconds. Next is Many Thunder. I cast this manually and is my primary DPS skill. Next is Sacred Resonance. I rarely cast this since I find the 10% SP and HP recovery per second to be kinda low and you have to channel it. Next is over a billion lightning. I find this hard to use in instances since I'm often running around, but this is a nice final nuke for damage. Next is Storm Judgment. This is a great nuke skill that I use quite often. Next is Storm Barrier to give you some survivability. For my next manual bar, the only thing that I changed is I added Lightning Gravity for some defense. You can move bosses around, which is great. For auto, I don't actually play this class on auto since I have to constantly run around. I have Many Thunder, Storm Judgment, and Storm Barrier on auto, although I don't use this. Next is my gear. For my Isles Legend run, I purposely tried to use attainable cards and gear. This is suboptimal on purpose, since I find some high-end MVP cards can easily make a class much better than it actually is. Later in the video, I'll show a more optimal build when I struggle in Museum. I also purposely don't use Shadow Equipment, Oracle Mirror, or Relics since I don't want to use pay-to-win stuff. For Adventure Handbook, the lowest I could get this account was 94%. My raw attack is 4,945, but hopefully my suboptimal gear will help reduce the impact of my Adventure Handbook. Next for attributes, I max Strength and Luck since that's needed for Thor's unstable current to increase the fluctuation percentage. Then I invest in Vit. For the other stats allocation, that's for Zanabia's potential, but I'm not using that card right now. I have 35,000 attack, 62.5% penetration, 43% skill damage increase, 176 attack percentage, 99.7% physical damage increase, 208.5% ignore defense, and 71% wind attack. Let's begin with the Golem. I channel for 5 seconds with Thunder Power, then run towards the Golem. I do Many Thunder, then I cast Storm Judgment. Then I cast Storm Barrier. I show myself doing over a billion lightning, but I find this skill sometimes hard to target. I continue using Many Thunder and zap away. The Golem goes down fairly easily. It's not too bad, I did have some close calls with death on this one. With higher end gear, you'll definitely melt this Golem. Against the Totem, I swap in Bao Goi card for the accessory. Unfortunately, I only have one of these on this account. Everything else remains unchanged. I cast Thunder Power and channel for 5 seconds, then Many Thunder, then Storm Judgment. Then I stand there and keep casting Many Thunder. Some people might not like this playstyle since you can get away with just standing there while your skill auto-attacks everything. Compared to Geno's channeling where you have to move your fire hose around sometimes, this one you can just stand here and chill. DPS wise it's quite strong, but the survivability is really bad. I do consume potions pretty often. If you have Saint's Faith praying you, then I think you'll be fine. Next for floor 3, I switch back to Moonlight Tendrillion for the accessory card. Everything else is the same. I cast Thunder Power and channel for 5 seconds. I cast Storm Barrier. I cast Many Thunder. This time I do some running away. This guy hits really hard, so I have to dodge a bit. For stage 2, I get ready for the mobs and the boss. When they arrive, the AoE from Many Thunder is quite nice. Once they're within range, I do the massive Storm Judgment to nuke them. Many Thunder gets the red orb too. Then I go towards the heart. I do over a billion lightning too. The heart goes down a bit slower than I'd like to. Usually with my Saitama I can one-shot this heart. For the final stage, I'm surprised the boss doesn't come towards me. Maybe he's afraid of the mighty Thor, so I take this chance to charge this up. I find channeling for 5 seconds to be quite hard mid-fight, so you have to take advantage of these opportunities. He goes down. This wasn't too bad considering how unoptimized his gear was. I think this alone gives me great hope for this class. Next is Museum. Unfortunately at this point I had to cheat by adding new gear, which I'll show at the end. Without this change, the dragon would go to about 50% and it was a real struggle due to the survivability. I wanted to avoid using the HP relic since that's a bit too rare. For the dragon, I had to run around a ton. The good thing is his AoE on his range is huge, so you can kite a lot. Though not that big that you could Storm Judgment at this range, I think I totally missed that dragon. There's a ton of running away, and eventually the dragon does go down. For what had changed, I used the Alice Star card for the offhand, Scarecrow for the accessory, added one Drake for the weapon card, and added the Machine Dragon card for head. For Oracle Mirror, I added the plus 15 bill and added the Lord of Vane as my relic. Again, no Arcane Ruins, and I didn't touch my Adventure Handbook deposit either. Next is the chest boss. This was super tough due to the Rook insta-killing me, and without a Saint of Fate me, this was impossible. I will show my modified gear later after the boss goes down. This time I took advantage of Lightning Gravity to keep the boss away. You could use this against any boss so you can get some space. When the Rook comes out, I had to burst this down quickly using all the skills in my inventory. I used Storm Judgment and over 1 billion lightning. Then I continued zapping the boss. The damage potential is definitely very high if you're geared up. It is approaching Rathkrasi's level of DPS, and since the range is huge, it won't miss if the boss walks away. That's something that can be annoying if you're Rathkrasi. When the Rook comes down, I had to burst it down quickly again. For the final stage with the boss, I pretty much do the same thing, a lot of running around and zapping away. The boss finally goes down, which is great since this class has the potential to solo all these bosses. Here's the final gear. I had to use the chest boss card for offhand, the Zenobia card for garment, the Biobaphomet card for accessories, double Drake card for the weapon, and the Walter card for head. For my Oracle Mirror, I was gonna swap out my build for the combustible knife, but then it was on cooldown, so I did this round without it. For Ancient Relic, I'm still using the Lord of Vane. If I had all these endgame cards, I'd definitely use this and turn him into an absolute god. I hope you enjoyed this video and you can see his potential. I'll definitely try him out in more videos in the future, and maybe even with lower deposits or without 7/7 Hero Core passive to see how semi-free to play this class really could be. If you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, and subscribe. Here's a video that I would recommend. And if you want more sneak peeks, check out this playlist over here.